All right, here we go. Late night happy hour Friday. DC and the Sunshine Man. Willie Ramirez is here. Koken's here. It's Cofield. Freaking crazy night of rumors and late sports dumps. Holy cow! From the conference realignment stuff. That's nuts. We got all the baseball stuff going on. Dave's got a new cat. Willie made a delicious meal. At least it looked like it on Twitter. There's so much going on. What's up, guys?
I don't know where to begin. It has been for a time of year where you get the trade deadline, which is kind of interesting in baseball, but there's usually not a whole lot else going on. But this year, I mean, it's just this week, it's insane out there. It's crazy.
Yep. Hey, Dave, I think your mic's feeding through the computer, not the actual headset.
Let's see.
Yeah. Oh, I'm on the wrong mic too. Maybe.
Yeah, I am on the wrong mic.
Yeah, so am I.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I am now on the right mic.
There you are. And I'm on the wrong mic.
Am I on the right mic?
Yeah.
When you sounded good. We're all hollow.
I wonder why that happens. I'm not the one who changed it. It just changes by itself. It's got a mind of its own.
Yeah, I didn't change it either. Bizarro. But our listeners are Johnny on the spot, so. All right, well. Oh yeah. Kahlua has competition tonight. We're gonna hear the cat in a second.
Unless you hear mine at some point.
I was gonna say unless you hit it away somewhere because it's loud.
Mine?
Oh yeah.
He's very talkative.
Yeah.
There he is.
Hey, there he is.
He's awake.
My new one is, where is he? He's behind me. Let's see if I can. There he is. There he is.
There he
wow.
is.
Yeah.
I have hotel quality pillows, and he really likes.
He's right into it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Now Dave's mic completely went off. What the hell's going on? What the hell is going on tonight? What the hell is going on in here? Look, now, Dave, we cannot hear Dave. Oh, Dave's on mute somehow. But I think Dave has to unmute it. This is
at the bottom.
This is yeah, I can't do it. So Dave's mic is somehow muted.
Kahlua is wired.
Nothing. The message I get is can't unmute your guest. Their mic isn't connected.
Okay, it's connected now.
There you go.
I when I was fiddling around trying to get BC on camera, I guess I muted myself. Little background on BC. My old cat Bo had cancer and he passed away a few weeks ago. And I started looking around and went to Hearts Alive. They have a location on Rainbow near Oakey, between Oakey and Charleston, and all age cats in there. And found one who was really interesting because he was extremely vocal. And it's like, what's the story on this guy? He's basically turned out to be the favorite of the shelter because of his personality. He's a total goofball. They named him BC. He was wearing a rainbow-colored bow tie, which I have since cut off because I didn't like it. Anyway, I said, well, I'm going to San Diego, but if he's still here when I come back, I think he's the one. He's estimated to be 10 years old. He has some health issues, so he's on a prescription diet for his kidneys, and hopefully that'll go well. But, I mean, he is just loaded with personality, fearless. He was a street cat, and they ended up with him. Basically, he was a TNR, but he was in such crappy shape, they decided to keep him. And he's gotten better since then, and he now lives here. And he seems to be enjoying himself tremendously. The cat has a voracious appetite. I mean, he loves to eat. And seems pretty happy. So I'm happy to have him, and he's happy to be here, I think.
Well, congratulations. So
yeah,
that's not
it
Sylvester.
Really is. It's. I am a big fan of older rescue animals because they're stuck in a cage, and that's no fun. I think if it's a nice animal, it deserves to have some space to run around and not be enclosed. So he's free 24/7 now to rumble around for as much as he wants, do whatever he wants, and I'm enjoying having him here.
BC and DC.
BC and DC. Yeah, there you go. DC and BC. How many times a week does the cat get a chance to eat steak? Brady is asking.
He's pretty insistent on trying to get whatever I'm eating, in addition to his own food. So he's gotten a taste of some pretty good stuff. He got some salmon last night, which he enjoyed. And if it's not something I think is unhealthy for him, I'll give him a little bit. Seems to keep him satisfied. Outside of that, though, his cat food is probably not the best stuff in the world because it's prescription, which means it costs plenty. Good thing I'm having a decent run in betting sports.
You can buy the expensive stuff.
So you say he's a street cat?
Well, whether he belonged to somebody at some point, he's not saying, but he was apparently taken in as a street stray, and he, I guess, wasn't neutered, and they discovered he had some health issues, but he seems to have adapted very well to indoor life. They loved him at the shelter. He literally was their favorite cat, and they were glad to see him go, but also sorry to see him go. And talking to his vet was the same thing. At the vets, they absolutely love the cat. He's a crazy little guy. He's a lot of fun. So I'm really glad I got him.
So if he was running the streets and he took to you, I'm guessing that with the alley cats, he was running the book, basically.
No, he's a little guy. He's a real little guy, which is another reason he's probably better off being with one person. He doesn't like other cats very much, and he only weighs like 7 pounds. I mean, he's a runt. So I think this is probably a much better life for him.
No, but did you hear what I say? If he's in the streets, he was running the book. He was the bookie. He was running the book of all the cats.
Got the instincts.
Yeah.
He's got these instincts.
He's got the street sense. He's the smart guy.
Oh boy, what's going on with Kahlua? Got
Kalua's got the new toy. He was just asleep, and I went to put him down, and he just wasn't. We laid down for a little bit. About 9:30, I figured, I'll get him wound down, and that just was a no-go. Last week when we did the show, he was knocked out. Tonight he's got the new toy, and he's running around somewhere. So we're gonna have to deal with squeaking.
Mine doesn't seem to have any knowledge about toys. I'm trying to get him interested in them, but he doesn't. They seem to be a strange concept to him. Another indication he hasn't been around a house very often.
Right. That's cool, though. He seems like he's domesticated. So
yeah. Well, I mean,
went right to the pillow.
This is
right
obviously
You roughed it.
He's got some favorite spots already. He likes, like most cats, he likes getting the sun. So mornings he's in one area of the house on the top of a sectional, and afternoons he's often in the dining room because that's the best sun spot. So they're pretty smart little guys.
Dave's sitting in his chair with a laser pointer. I don't know if Dave's doing that, but
no, I don't.
Brady was saying
I've never gone the laser pointer route. I figure it's more frustration than anything else because you can't catch the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I want to see him capture something and then do whatever it is cats do with it. You can't capture a light. To me, it's like it's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like being up 20 in a college basketball game at halftime and then losing the damn thing. All you did was get teased.
You know the feeling, so you don't want to give it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's very frustrating.
Very mean. All right, so we're getting questions about baseball, and we got a question about the Mountain West and UNLV. So let's talk about what happened today, and really yesterday. This developed quickly, and apparently the SEC. Oklahoma and Texas have been kind of sneaking around with the SEC for 6 months now, talking about this to the point where SEC brass never included Texas A&M at all in any of these discussions. That is, before we get to any of the details with what could blow up college sports and have a reorganization, it once again does prove just how slimy some of the people who run college sports are. And these are the people who are supposed to be educating the kids and are wagging their finger at the kids over NIL.
Oh,
they so often show just absolute greed, no discipline, no loyalty. I saw someone had a high-ranking Texas source on a tweet, and they were asking him, like, hey, what do you think's going to happen to the rest of the Big 12? And the person answered, and they're like, we don't care.
They don't. You know what? That might be the most honest comment in this entire thing. It's like, no, we don't give a shit. Okay, why should we? The SEC is looking to completely dominate college sports, which it's competition for the dollars. So why not? It's going to be insane. I read where the new Alabama quarterback recruit, who has not played it down yet, has already got about $1 million in endorsements.
Saban said that early in the week, that Bryce Young out of Mater Dei is approaching 7 figures in NIL. Whether he is or not, we have no idea, but it's a hell of a recruiting pitch.
And see, this is why almost all of us are actually smarter than these idiots who run college sports, who can't see the forest for the trees. If 20 years ago they'd have done the right thing and put stipends in place, reasonable stipends in place for those who participate in revenue-producing sports, they wouldn't be having this issue. Instead, now if you think recruiting has gotten lopsided until this point, wait till you see what's going to happen now. I mean, we'll take UNLV basketball as an example. If you think UNLV is going to be able to land any 5-star recruits, you are insane. Okay? They're not going to come here because the endorsements are going to be where the big schools are. So the separation between the big schools and the mid-majors is if you thought it was already big, it's going to get massively huge. Okay? Like nothing we've ever seen before, because all the top guys with the NIL in place are going to go where they can get the most money. I'll throw this. Maybe UNLV will actually have a shot because it's Las Vegas, and maybe some of these guys can get endorsement deals out here. So maybe I'm wrong on that, but you get what I'm saying.
I think there's still hope. And I'll say this. Why would it be shocking if let's just say they were getting their share of top 50 guys over the last 10 years? What if the way they were getting those guys is all above board now? Right?
Yeah.
You land Anthony Bennett, you land Zim, you land why am I blanking on the kid who was here for 1 year and went to Milwaukee? Rashad, Rashad, now we're all going to blank on his last name, but it's they were getting at least one top 50 guy.
Yeah.
Rashad Vaughn.
Vaughn, there you go. Good job, Brady.
Deion Collins until he fucked up his life and killed someone. I still think there's room for there's only so many spots, Dave, on all these other schools. And then the other thing that plays into it, and we were talking about this with Coach Joe Esposito today, high school recruiting is bizarro now, because now you're seeing the example set by Michigan in many ways. They have a good high school class coming in, but especially Arkansas and Texas. We may have years where college coaches are like, you know what, I really don't want to be in the developmental business. We'll just wait until they go somewhere, and then we'll grab them out of the transfer portal. So there actually may be openings to build. You got to hold on to them. Well, but it's a crazy, wild game right now in college basketball.
Well, look, I mean, and I'm not saying this to be funny. You're going to see college coaches go on recruiting trips with representatives from companies that are willing to pay endorsement money. They're literally going to be on the recruiting trips.
Well, they can't.
So,
I know there are rules. They're not supposed to be involved in it, but I would think they're going to have the the marketing person from the school at least be part of a pitch. But I agree with you. If there's a way to break the rules, they're going to break the rules.
The player can hire an advisor, not an agent, but an advisor. So they'll talk to the advisor.
You know what's hilarious about this is, sorry that Sean Miller lost his job, but what Sean Miller did a couple of years ago, talking about deals and whatever big ass money, and the same thing the guy down at LSU, was doing. It's all above board. Now you can actually do it. Just don't be a jack off about it. You can do it.
Yep. Well, it is clearly a rich get richer scenario.
Or in smaller markets, you have to be really creative, and you have to make sure that you round up all the big money, in your areas. But I agree with you. There is a fear of that, and especially if we're gonna go to, here's the latest, right? So this is what came out tonight. So we got Texas and Oklahoma almost a lock to go to the SEC. The ACC apparently called on them. I don't know if the Big Ten has called on them, but they look like they're going to go to the SEC. The next rumor is that the SEC also listen, this is crazy. Reached out to Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, and I'm blanking on the fourth one because they're like, fuck it. We're going to go 20-team super conference, and now we're just going to grab, every big money football program we can get and get it to 20. And then on the heels of that, Dave, the Big 12 has made calls to the Pac-12, and they're like, we're going to go 20. You're going to take our remaining 8, add it to your 12, and we're going to go with another 20-team conference.
And actually, from the Big 12 standpoint, really, that's only the only way they can survive. They're dead outside of that. And don't tell me, Kansas has got a viable basketball program. Okay. They're down to 8 teams. Who's the headliner? Oklahoma State?
Football?
I mean,
Oklahoma State, Baylor, Texas Tech, in terms of money.
Okay. They're going to need to merge with another conference. And the Pac-12 would seem the most likely because the Big Ten, it's going to be interesting to see what happens to the Big Ten because the Big Ten, no offense to Big Ten fans, but if there's a league, especially in football, that has a holier-than-thou attitude, it's always been the Big Ten. And they are going to be clearly second fiddle by a lot to the SEC. So I don't see the Big Ten saying, I just don't see them going, we really don't want Kansas State and Iowa State. Nice schools, but they don't fit. So I think the Big 12's approach to align itself with the Pac-12 probably makes more sense.
If the Big Ten got off the high horse, they could also go to Notre Dame, make a pitch, and also go to Clemson.
Yeah.
And
right.
Play this. Let's do it.
Notre Dame's going to be really interesting. Now, this really could be huge for them in football because BYU is sort of but they're not on the same plane. Notre Dame is already the only independent. And it's going to be interesting to see what attitude they take as far as the nil is concerned, because I would think that they'll fall in line with it, but I'm never sure with Notre Dame because Notre Dame still tries to maintain a certain reputation. And I'm not saying that in a negative way about Notre Dame. They're still really strong in academics, and they haven't done some of the things that some of the conference schools have done, at least in football. Now, part of that is because of their exclusive contract with NBC. As long as that's in place, this actually could be a good thing for Notre Dame. They could be in great shape. We'll see.
What do you think, Willie?
You talk about the NIL. That was one of the questions I brought up to a few of the coaches at Mountain West Media Days the other day, and I even asked Marcus, if he thought that now finally Las Vegas could be used as an actual marketing tool, and he had to, he immediately said, well, I can't have anything to do with that, and sort of threw that out there. But the same token, you talk about a viable time for the football program to sort of be able to reach beyond what Sanchez brought here in the facility, right? The Fertitta facility, and now they're in Allegiant Stadium. But now you have this marketing tool of being able to get Las Vegas dollars and possibly get endorsements with, like you say, some liaison between the program and the recruits. On a local level, I even asked, why is his name escaping me? He led my AP story. Reno's coach. Who's Reno's coach?
Norvell.
I asked Norvell. Reno's a mini version of Las Vegas, and the same thing. All the coaches are on board with it and excited about it for the players. No one's really standoffish about it. The person who was sort of most reserved about the comments was Craig Thompson. So in conjunction with this name, image, likeness. I think you're going to see these conferences get greedier and greedier with the institutions that they want, and the SEC is the top dog. They're going to go after who they want. I don't remember who it was, but I looked at their bio, so I didn't retweet it or go into deeper. But that they're looking for a mega conference, and they're going after Ohio State, and they're going after whether all that's true, and a 20-team conference.
Right. That was the SEC rumor that they're going after Ohio State, Michigan, and Clemson, one other school, along with Texas and Oklahoma. And then again, the Big 12 has reached out to the Pac-12. Now, the other possibility is maybe we don't get the 20, and there could be 4 16-team conferences.
Huh?
There better be 5. That's what you really need, right? You need 5 so that a lot of the group of 5 can stay alive. But I saw Dave. It's funny, Dave. I saw you laugh when we brought up Craig Thompson, and I was posing the question last night and today on the show. There's a possibility that the Big 12 could be picked apart, and just there's a carcass remaining there. Like Iowa State could be the only part of the carcass that's like, what just happened, right? But if you were going to tell me which conference gets rated and picked apart and is left for dead, which one is it?
It's the Mountain West.
Yep. And why is that?
Well, for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
One of which is, look, I would say this. UNLV and San Diego State are positioned to get the hell out of the conference and get to something bigger. And I think they will. I think that's just the reality of the situation.
Really?
If they don't, they're making a serious mistake.
Well, I would say right now, listen, UNLV is in a bad position with the football program. Now, facilities-wise, they're in a better position. But from hey, this is a spot you want to be in. Jesus Christ, everyone else in the world of sports wants to be involved in Vegas.
Yep.
Yeah.
If UNLV has a saving grace, that's it.
Same thing with San Diego.
They've got, and I think San Diego would be a lock to, if they're going to go, I'm not going to say a lock because I don't know all the politics that go into it. I would think San Diego would be an easy choice to go into a mega Pac-12. Or, if the Big 12 remains and they start adding another, I guess the Big 12 would look to add 8 teams to get to 16. So San Diego State would have a really good shot.
What about Boise State?
Can you throw this person out of the
now?
You have the ability to throw this person out of the chat?
Not really. They'll stop.
Okay. I didn't know if that was possible.
That was actually an interesting question earlier. Someone said, "What about Boise, and what about BYU?" I would say no to both. If you're looking at TV markets, I would say no to Boise. And if I'm a mega conference, I wouldn't touch BYU with a 10-foot pole.
I
There
wouldn't
are
touch
too many
BYU.
restrictions. And honestly, in a lot of these places, like I've said it many times before, and people may laugh at this, if I'm UNLV, and right now they're in kind of a desperate position, and I'm one of the top 3 most diverse student bodies in the country, I don't want to have anything to do with BYU, which is too much about exclusion. Sorry, but that's reality. That's their path. If you want to not be inclusive, then you can't be in a conference with all these other schools.
Yeah.
No, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that with BYU and their restrictions. I just thought because of Boise State's prowess, and they tend to be competitive in basketball. And, of course, what they've done with football, over the years, they get to, they're always in the talk, even before the BCS and challenging the big boys, I mean,
that's kind of waned. Okay. They were a top 25 program for quite some time. They're not a top 25 program anymore. They're maybe a top 50 program. So I think that's kind of waned. And Boise's still got to try and find a way to get in the Pac-12. I don't think they can do it. But if Utah leaves, maybe that's their road in. I don't know. It's a mess. The schools that are really in trouble are Wyoming, Colorado State,
Utah State.
Yeah, they got no shot.
I wouldn't write those guys off yet.
In basketball, maybe.
No.
In football,
in football too. I think they're all very well funded. That those areas all have riches that we don't really know about in terms of agricultural stuff. I don't.
No, but if the conference gets weaker, the conference is going to get weaker. So, I mean, they might be good, competitive in the conference, but who's going to care? I mean, the Mountain West is going to be the Sun Belt.
Well, no, what I'm saying is I think Wyoming and Colorado State are going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat, Utah State as well, to try to get into one of the mega 16-team conferences, if there are 5. If there are 4, this is all moot. There's going to be like 3 spots for all of these AAC and Mountain West schools, and they're all screwed. And then I have no idea what the structure – if there's only 64 teams and 4 big conferences, I have no idea what happens with a group of 5 in terms of a playoff and the NCAA tournament. No idea.
And as far as Ricky's question is going, the Mountain West can go after those schools, but they're not going to the Mountain West. They're going to try and merge with the Pac-12. And I think the Pac-12 is going to have to probably do it. Otherwise, they're going to
Maybe have
fall way behind the SEC, and they're already way behind the Big Ten in terms of national exposure.
Do you think they have to merge, or can they cherry pick 4 schools and go to 16?
Maybe they could do that.
Like
TCU would certainly be one of those teams.
Right, Dave. The Pac-12 is pretty freaking arrogant. I mean, they do, and we saw it. We saw it until they finally caved in last year with COVID. The schools really are run. It's I don't know if it's 60-40, but the academics runs those schools.
Oh, yeah.
So,
but there's so much money involved.
I would say this, like I saw one of the schools mentioned is, they'll go get Baylor. Really? Pac-12 is going to add Baylor after the last 15 years that Baylor's had away from the field?
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Probably not.
Hey, money changes everything. So, and they got a new commissioner, former, Vegas executive. So maybe the attitude changes, and he, maybe he goes to him and he's like, "Listen, you've become irrelevant in 10 years doing things the way you do it. You got to smarten up. You either want to do this or you don't."
Have they? My trivia is no good. Has the Pac-12 had a team in the college playoff yet?
In the Final Four, do they get Oregon in one? Is it one of whatever it is, 32? I think they might have one. And I might be wrong on that. So I think it's one.
Well, you know how many they're going to get?
One.
If the SEC does what they looks like they're going to do, and the ACC's already got Clemson, which is in every year, the Big Ten's going to get somebody in. And the Pac-12 is going to be basically playing before small TV audiences at 7:30 at night on a Saturday, and going to bowls that aren't very significant. At some point, you got to look at. I understand this isn't the purity. From a purity aspect, it's a big failure. But let's face it, purity doesn't matter. From a business standpoint, Pac-12 is going to have to play ball here. They're just going to have to. Otherwise, the only one who's going to be saying it's the Conference of Champions is Bill Walton.
The AAC that'll be interesting to see what some of those members do. Because the Big 12, if the Big 12 loses several, they could possibly pick apart that AAC with a couple of quality teams.
Houston and Cincinnati come to mind. Big cities, both solid markets, and actually both good programs, particularly Cincinnati right now. So they would be on the move. And by the way, viable in both sports, football and basketball, both very good programs. So Cincinnati, I think the AAC is probably, personally, I don't think it's going to exist in a few years.
By the way, Cam's right. It's 2 of 28 selections, and it was very early on, 2014-15, and then 2016-17 Washington. So
that's not a very good percentage.
No, and I think it's gotten worse over the years. Their chances of getting in have gotten worse.
Well, plus, for what it's worth, it's a balanced conference where there's no dominant team, and they cannibalize one another during the regular season. So nobody can get through it unbeaten, and that's pretty much how you get to the. If you're not in the SEC or the Big Ten, you're not getting to the playoffs if you're not unbeaten.
Anyway. Side note, Steve, Dave, so over the past year, or 8-9 months, the times that we have talked about Coach Arroyo and my thoughts away from the field, never judged him as a football coach. I've said that many times, just in him dealing with the media. I will.
Yeah, here we go. I forgot to ask you about this. I'm curious to hear what you think.
100% totally enjoyed my conversation with him as far as my questions. Thought he did a fantastic job. And there was a couple of times where we talked, just kind of he and I, in that hallway where they had the tables and the food at one end and that main hallway between the meeting rooms. So totally different view. I still don't agree with everything when he first got here and his perception of the media and how he went about it. But I thought he handled everything fantastic the other day. The round table, he sat there for, I don't know how long he sat there because I didn't sit in on the whole thing. I just jumped in when I needed it for what I was writing for AP. And I asked my 3 questions. And what I was really impressed with was that he was very composed and he took his time in answering everybody's question. And he didn't worry about time. Like, he wasn't trying to get through a quote. He wasn't trying to get through a question, move on to the next one. There were a couple coaches who were wanting to, Brent Brennan from San Jose seemed like he had someplace to be. He wasn't rude. He just, he just was quick. But I'll tell you,
he probably did have someplace to be. I mean, if you live in Hawaii and you're any place other than Hawaii, then you've got someplace to be, and it's Hawaii. Pretty nice there,
Well, Marcus Arroyo was he was a stand-up guy. I thought he was really good. I thought he was one of the better coaches that I sat down and spoke with. Jay Norvell was great. I think I really only went around to probably 5 or 6 over the course of the day for what I needed. But Marcus was he was a good dude. He was so now he's got to get it done on the field and see. And it seemed like he had some enthusiasm. Seemed like he was confident. So,
well,
the
odds makers would disagree.
Yeah,
the over and under is 1.5.
Dave, what do you think of that number?
I think they're going to have trouble winning 2 games.
I think they're going to win 3 or 4.
I hope you're right. Yeah. I'm not betting the under because
it's ridiculous.
I'm not putting a prediction out there until I hear what he's doing with the quarterback situation. I did talk to somebody this week. I talked to somebody this week who's dialed in with a lot of the local guys. His son is a college football player, and that in his words, from what he understands, UNLV is out of the picture when it comes to Tate Martell. So
I would say
okay,
good.
I mean, Tate's he's not a college quarterback. He just isn't.
He's not.
It's really simple. If you can't, and I don't mean this as a slam on him, but he has been at programs where they've done a really good job developing quarterbacks, and he was surrounded by ample talent. Let's put it that way, and it just didn't work out for him. It's not a knock on him personally or anything else. He just, from what I've seen, watching him, I do power rate the quarterback position. Like Kenny White does every position, which to me is just, he does every player at every position, which is just amazing. Kenny's stuff is if you're a college football fan or better, his magazine is the best that has ever been in the market, by the way. Get it.
It is. Yeah.
It is really absolutely amazing body of work. But I do power rate quarterbacks. And if a good college quarterback is a 6, and an average college quarterback's a 4, he's like a 2. Okay, he's just not that good. I think he's talented physically, but at the college level, he needs to find another position. It's that simple.
Willie, what's the quarterback handicapping in your mind as we sit here right now with the Rebels?
To be honest with you, I would be throwing darts because I didn't go out to spring practice. So all I would know is what I'm reading, from guys who went out there, like Mike Gramala, right, who covers the team on a regular basis. The RJ, I'm not sure who their beat writer is going to be because, who they got covering the Rebels. So I don't know because I haven't gone out to watch, and so I don't know. Because I don't know the breakdown. I don't know what anything's been told. We know how secretive that Marcus was, and with what media was allowed out there. Steve, you were probably out there more than I was, so you'd have a better handle on it than I would. That's why I'm just kind of waiting for fall camp to get started, so I can make some drives out there because I am intrigued to see. I am interested in going out to some of the games of the Legion. And again, I didn't say that. Mark, that now I'm changed and I think UNLV is going to be great. I said that he's very confident and he seemed very confident with his team. Whether that means anything or not, I don't know because I haven't been out there, so I haven't seen anything, and I'm just waiting to see. But I will take the time to to drive down there to Rebel Park and watch when camp opens, and I'll go to some games of the Legion. I'll tell you one thing that I was excited about, and I tweeted about, is once the Golden Knights schedule came out, there are some fantastic sports weekends coming up in Las Vegas when it comes to, whether or not UNLV is going to be horrendous or not. You got UNLV football, you got Raiders, you got Golden Knights, you got some UFC events, you're probably going to have some boxing events. You got the Pac-12 championship one weekend with Raiders and Golden Knights going on. You got the Las Vegas Bowl. So there's going to be a lot of exciting sports stuff. So I'll definitely be attending some Rebel games, obviously the Raiders, obviously the Golden Knights. I'm excited for, we've talked about this since last year on this. And in the afternoons, it's just Vegas, opening back up in sports. Wow. When they released that schedule and I was looking at the weekends, I still haven't filled out my Google Calendar, but I know it's going to be loaded with sporting events that I got to be at. I know that there's 2 weeks. I tweeted to Adam Hill. I said, dude, if when those times comes in for the Golden Knights games that are on the Sundays that the Raiders are playing, if they're at 7 o'clock, I'll race you to T-Mobile. If I know Adam, he'll be at both.
As far as UNLV quarterback goes, Ricky, if you're asking me, I would say Justin Rogers. He's got the best arm of the bunch, but none of the quarterbacks grade out as even average. So it's going to be a problem position for them. I would expect that you will see several guys under center this year for the Rebels. But if you're asking me for a front runner, I'll say Justin Rogers.
Let me ask you this, Dave. Let me just ask you this, since you power rate the quarterbacks. Did the best quarterback that he could have had get away and is now playing up in Dixie? Kenyon Oblad?
No, I didn't think much of Oblad either. They haven't had a good quarterback in. It's been a while. Okay,
it's been a while.
Not forget good, average, just somewhere in the top 100. They don't have any, but they don't have anybody. Justin Rogers, Kenny White has him as a 3. That's not real good.
Right. My opinion, Doug Broomfield is 80-20 in the battle to play quarterback. So I think he's going to get the job. I think they trust him more. I have no inside source on it. I think Rodgers has potential, but he's got to stay healthy, and he was not healthy last year. In the spring, he said he was healthy.
He's got a good arm.
They both have a lot of upside. I mean, Broomfield's arm is ridiculous. Rodgers, stands tall in the pocket. He has a little bit of problems with his throwing motion. Too many passes kind of dip towards the turf. So, but here's the bottom line is, if I'm right and they're going to win 3 or 4 games, like much of the team's prognostication depends on what you just said, Dave. Rodgers and Broomfield can't be a 3.
Right. And I'm afraid they are.
They have to be better than that, and then they're going to win some games. But if not, if they can't complete basic passes and be threats downfield, they're going to kill Charles Williams in the run game, and the defense is going to be so much better from a talent standpoint and a size standpoint. But you got to retain the ball and you got to make big plays. So there's potential with both guys, and I think it says a lot that Arroyo's a quarterback guy, and on the transfer market, he could have grabbed somebody. He did not grab anyone. So he must see something in both of these guys because he's rolling the dice. Because
I know one thing:
after them, it's true freshmanville. Like they don't have Max Gillum to turn to
right.
Just go out there and make big plays with his feet every once in a while.
It's too bad the Rodgers that might be available shortly in Green Bay doesn't have any college eligibility left. Maybe he could come back to play a year for UNLV, but I don't think that's going to happen. That's the rumors are swirling once again, folks. And I've seen this from 2 pretty good sources now. And again, it's not my information. But what they're saying is that the ploy by Aaron Rodgers might well be that he will announce his retirement. And that will basically force the Packers to do something. And this has been done before because Carson Palmer did it. He did the exact same thing.
Right.
And if it worked for Carson Palmer, it'll work for Aaron Rodgers. I can guarantee you that. So we'll see if he goes that route. And basically, it's becoming quite clear that he is not playing for the Green Bay Packers anymore. And I got a lot of flack, I think, on this show. And also certainly on Twitter last year when it was right after the Packers lost. I said, that's it. He's not going to play for this team ever again. And the reason I said it was twofold. One, he was obviously very insulted with their first-round draft pick last year because it was a shot at him.
Yep.
And then came the playoff episode where they decided, nah, we're not going to trust Aaron Rodgers in this situation. We're going to kick a field goal and basically cost ourselves any chance of winning the football game. And that worked out very poorly for Green Bay. And I think that was, to me, that was the final straw, the last straw. I think he's done there. I've said it from that day on, and I believe that it is certainly moving in that direction. So, I mean, the conversation now becomes, where's he end up? I think Denver appears to be maybe the favorite, but I am happy, and we've discussed this, but let's bring it up again. I think the Raiders are very much in the picture.
Really?
I think they've got pieces to trade, including a quarterback. They can trade Derek Carr. They've got, Derek Carr can go in there and play quarterback for Green Bay. I'm not sure Denver has anybody that can go in and play quarterback for Green Bay. So that could be enticing. And I know John Gruden would love to have him out here. And I think the Raiders might offer more than the Broncos once the trade talks start.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the Packers' goal is. If Rodgers is gone, I think they start looking at developing the next guy, whether he plays right away. I'm not sure they get the next franchise quarterback and then block Love. But that said,
but is Derek Carr a franchise quarterback?
He absolutely is. Yeah. Oh, is he a long-term quarterback? Yeah, he could be. He's signed for what, another 2 years? You sign him, extend him.
Oh, that's okay.
Or you're saying he's there for a couple of years and then Love takes over?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if the Packers still think they're contenders, I guess it depends on the Packers' mindset. Do they think they can contend without Aaron Rodgers at quarterback to make the playoffs? I'm not saying be the best team in the league, but to make the playoffs. And my guess is that Green Bay probably still feels as though, hey, we're still a good football team, regardless of whether he's here or not. So to me, they would probably be interested in at least getting somebody who they can plug right in as a number one short term. Because if they send Jordan Love out there, sorry, you're probably not making the playoffs. Okay, even in a division that's not that great, they certainly would not, in my opinion, be a favorite to make the playoffs.
No, they're not. They wouldn't be the favorite. Well, I'll just tell you this: many of the books around town have already pulled the NFC North futures off the board.
Yep.
Circa is keeping it up. Circa. Well, last I saw it, let's see, William Hill today, because I was looking at it. William Hill had Packers minus 150. Vikings were all the way down from 4-1 to 2-1 to win the NFC North. Westgate pulled all of that off. Circa is offering a bunch of different bets. Circa actually has the Vikings as the favorite now, and the Packers are plus 195 to win the NFC North. Circa's also reset the Packers over-under win number. It's down to 8.5 from 9.5. If you want to bet 9.5, you can bet the over and get plus 170. So I actually bet over 9.5 today, and I got a terrible number at William Hill.
Why did you bet the over 9.5?
Because I'm going contrarian because I think they're going to work it out with Rodgers. But
okay.
But hey, it doesn't matter because I got the worst number because now Circa has 170, I got 120, so I'm an idiot. Well, I didn't get the best number.
If this information on Rodgers,
I mean,
going the quote unquote retirement route is accurate, then he's clearly
then I'm screwed.
Not playing there.
No,
it's like and that seems to be the consensus that he's so fed up with the organization,
right?
That it's like I want out of here.
Yeah, and I will say, part of my motivation is guys like Truth from Duluth who've been banging on Rodgers. This is a bet I have no problem losing. I hope they win 3 games without Rodgers. I hope I don't fucking sniff over 9.5. So I win either way. I buck the trend, going contrarian, or I almost said Favre. Rodgers leaves and the Packers just suck balls. And then here's a great thing for all the Packers fans out there who are like, we'll be fine without Rodgers. Will you be fine without Devontae Adams? Will you be fine without Matt LaFleur? Because I'll tell you what, if I'm Matt LaFleur, I coach out this year and I go, fuck you, I'm leaving for a real job. I'm not working with goddamn Jordan Love, who he also didn't know they were taking Love.
Right.
So, and Matt LaFleur's had, what is he in 2 years now? Freaking 27-5 in the regular season, whatever, 26-6. He's going to stick around after they pull this nonsense? Get out of here. So, what's your gut feeling, Willie?
I don't think that Rodgers is going to retire. I think he's going to emerge. I think he's got too much competitiveness in him. I just don't know if he's going to say, "Fuck it, you don't want me, and I can't go." I just don't see him walking away from the game. I don't think that it's not a pride thing. I just think that, like, where I just think that he like a stubborn thing. I think that he just has too much competitiveness in it. He wants to play.
He's already said he wants to break. He wants to break all the records.
Yeah,
he's already said that. Now he's the retirement thing is. I'm only saying this because it's already been done. There's a precedent.
No. Yeah,
he's doing the same thing Carson Palmer did. Carson Palmer had no intention of retiring. He just announced, "I'm retiring," to force the team to deal him. And I think Rodgers is probably looking at this thing and saying, "Well, that would seem to be a good idea."
I just don't think that I understand the. Like Steve, you're saying, that he's the contrarian idea, and just that bucket and he's eventually going to show up. But I think that there's so much hatred there now. There's so much that's been put out, and that I don't think that there's any fixing it. But now what do the Packers do? I think at some point they got to deal. Or I just I don't know about the Raiders. It wouldn't shock me, and it definitely makes sense. I mean, if it's no disrespect to Derek Carr, I do think Derek Carr has, ability to lead a team to the postseason. He's got to have the right components around him. But if you're talking about Aaron Rodgers right now versus Derek Carr, I think it's Aaron Rodgers versus probably a majority, 80% of the quarterbacks you're going to go with. You're going to want Aaron Rodgers.
You're underrating Rodgers. Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. No offense to Derek Carr, but he's not. Okay.
How about with all that's going on? How about Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams for Cole Beasley and Josh Allen? No one's taking me seriously. Well, I'm sure the Bills are looking around like right now, going, "What the fuck?" with the COVID stuff, with the vaccination stuff. So. But I agree with Dave. Aaron Rodgers, even at this age, I still think he's going to play another 5 years.
Yep.
The NFL is a league of now. There's no more than 4 or 5 guys max that you would keep over Aaron Rodgers.
No, so. And I think if the retirement thing, if the Packers just steadfastly refuse to trade him, then he'll sit out a year.
Right. Yep.
And then he can go wherever he wants, and the Packers will get shit.
Hey, so here's $15 million to do NFL broadcast.
Right.
Here's $15 million to host Jeopardy. All right, I'll be okay.
Yep. And the Packers will get nothing. So that's why the retirement angle makes sense, because it basically tells the Packers, you better make a trade and get something, and they'll get something good. They'll get something good for him.
I guess. I don't know what kind of weight this will. I have no clue what the meaning is behind this, but there's a tweet out there that Rodgers and Adams both posted the same picture on their Instagram tonight and it's Michael Jordan and Pippen sort of just walking away from one another and with the fist pound. Are they trying to send a message of some sort? I don't know what the fuck.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Let me see if I can find it.
Maybe Devontae Adams should threaten retirement too. And
you know what? Somebody actually just tweeted it at 42 seconds ago. I'm gonna I'll send it to you right now on DM, Steve.
All right. Wow, Dave, I'm surprised that you're so bought in on this. That Rodgers is just done. I'm not arguing against it, but you're usually don't go like over the top. But you're like, hey, this is it, man. He's done.
Well, I started believing it when they drafted Love.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a slap in the face to Rodgers.
Yep.
Because it's not like they were basically saying, well, we think you're at the end of the line. We better get the next quarterback in place. And Aaron Rodgers has said he wants to play 5-6 more years. He's come out and said it. He wants to break the records. So that was an insult. And I thought, boy, that's going to fray that relationship. And then the thing in the playoffs, which I'm sorry. I mean, I think LaFleur's a heck of a coach, but that was a stupid decision on his part. I couldn't believe it when he did it. It's like, wait a minute, your defense can't stop anything right now, and you're going to kick a field goal, you got to score a touchdown here. I don't care if it's 4th and goal from the 8 or not. You got to score a touchdown here, or you're going to lose the game. You probably won't get the ball back. And guess what happened? They didn't get the ball back. That was a bad decision. And it was, again, a real insult to a Hall of Fame quarterback. Well, I don't think you can get the first down. We're going to get the 3 points instead and hope for the best from our defense. Ooh. And he was pissed after the game. I mean, there was no question. He was really pissed. So, to me, that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, I see it. It's super small here. I can't enlarge the picture, but yeah, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams just playing with the media at this point while also playing with the heart of every Packers fan. So,
well, if you're a Packers fan, you had a heck of a run. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on Instagram. It's on their stories. It's not a post. It's definitely on Instagram.
You had a good run, Packers fans. 29 straight years with Favre and Rodgers. Now join the rest of us who have to deal with mostly sucky quarterbacks. Enjoy it.
KC, I just had Kalu on he's running around here. If he comes back over here, I'll pull him up on the screen. I just had him up here a little bit ago.
My cat's back at his spot on the pillow again. I was just checking.
BC.
What was the other topic I wanted to mention? Now I got to check the phone. I know I sent it to you.
Right? Exactly, AJ. Exactly. Browns finally have some hope with Baker Mayfield, but it was the same situation. My Jets have had like 2 decent 2 or 3 year runs with quarterbacks from 3 or 4 different guys. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Packers fans take this the last 29 years for granted.
I know what the other topic is.
What is it?
Well, the A's.
Oh, okay. We got to talk some baseball.
They're leaving Oakland. Okay, so now the question is where. Okay, just to clear this up.
Yeah.
Because I think this is important. You can have we can all have varying opinions on how much a city should kick in for new stadiums and stuff like that. And I certainly respect everybody's viewpoint on that one, but you got to have the numbers in this one. It's unbelievable what the city council decided to offer in their term sheet to Oakland. Now, the A's have already said.
Oakland, yeah.
Yes, the A's have already said we will privately fund the entire cost of the stadium. We will privately fund the entire cost of the rebuild of the waterfront.
Right.
Now, those 2 things are estimated to be in the area of about $17 billion, all privately funded. What they want from Oakland is less than $1 billion. So that's less than 1/17 of the total project. And Oakland, which is a broke-ass city and has no money, can't come up with it. So the term sheet that they offered the A's and that the city council passed, I think 6-1 was the vote, there's no chance Oakland is going to accept that, which means that they will be leaving after 2024. Where they go, who knows? But Las Vegas is certainly in the mix. I think Portland is very much in the mix. Portland wants them. And I suppose there are a couple of other cities that would necessitate realignment, but you could look at Nashville or something like that. But they're gone, okay? So Oakland is now going to lose. They've already lost the basketball team. They've already lost the football team. They lost the hockey team about 100 years ago. Yeah. And now they're going to lose the football team. And one of the largest cities in the country, which, quite frankly, has been mismanaged badly, is going to be left without a major sports franchise. It's amazing. But I'm just saying this. I'm running these figures down because I've seen some comments. Well, the city shouldn't have to cough up for the new stadium. They're not. They're not being asked to. It's actually a great deal for Oakland, and they're so broke they can't even come up with that. So goodbye, Oakland, and let's not hear, they're just screwing Oakland. No, they're not. Oakland's screwing Oakland, not the A's. The Raiders didn't screw Oakland. The Golden Seals didn't screw Oakland 100 years ago. Well, it wasn't 100 years ago, but it was about 50. And neither did the Warriors. I mean, they could have kept them all. At least keep one of them. Shame on Oakland.
So the sites have been visiting because the day after, what was that, Tuesday, the vote, the day after John Fisher, the owner, and Dave Cavill, the president, were here again.
With architects.
The day after with the architect.
Yep.
And I'm not saying they've really cut down on the 20 sites. Well, they're definitely being pitched hard by downtown, the Cashman site. They've met multiple times now with Phil Ruffin, who owns Circus Circus, and he owns the festival grounds at the corner of Sahara and LV Boulevard, across from the Sahara, which is an interesting site. And I saw tonight Mick Akers, and this is the best site, I think. It's the Wild Wild West site owned by the Fertittas, because it's over 100 acres, and as I've said a million times, it's already in the works to fix the Trop and 15 interchange and the Russell and 15 interchange. And that baseball stadium at Wild Wild West would be awesome. You're going to work on the roads anyway. And as I've mentioned a million times, you're right down the road from the Al, and you're right across the 15. You could build a pedestrian bridge over the 15 that would connect T-Mobile and the new baseball stadium. It would be awesome.
That's my favorite.
I think the Sahara spot is interesting, but Jesus, God Almighty, the road project that would need to be done at Sahara and LV Boulevard and Sahara and the 15. Holy crap!
Well, but I will say this: if they decide to go that way, we've got an excess of orange cones up here on Rainbow that we can send them, because they're not serving any purpose out here other than just fuck up traffic. And I'm just being joking there. The other one, and look, I don't know anything about this, okay?
Right.
But the guy who spent however much he spent to get that property in Summerlin, I suppose there's a possibility that he could be looking at that as, boy, this, if they move to Summerlin, what a place to develop this would be, which is why whoever it is spent whatever, 36 billion or some ridiculous figure. So there's a lot of places. I think Las Vegas is clearly the favorite to get the baseball team. And by the way, I posted this on Facebook, and there's still people who cling to that old kind of ridiculous philosophy is, well, I don't know, this is a 3-shift town, and people don't come, it's baseball is a local sport. What? Okay, forget the 3-shift part. That obviously hasn't mattered, because I think the Golden Knights have done pretty well. And if they're going to come here for one game to watch hockey, you think they're not going to come to watch 3 and 4 game series with their favorite team in town? I mean, come on. Yep. Baseball can't miss here. This is going way back. I mean, you're going back 20 years. I always thought hockey would work here. But I've always thought first of all, it's a great baseball town. Always has been. And I've always thought baseball, because of the way the schedule is put together, is actually the best sport for Las Vegas. They'll sell an enormous amount of out-of-town tickets. So I think they're coming. I think Portland's going to have a tough time matching Las Vegas in terms of what we have to offer.
The number of fans, just that I know over the years, the number of people that live in Las Vegas, that when the schedule comes out, tickets become available to go see their teams play in San Diego or LA, will no longer have to do that.
Yes.
And people are going to want to come to Vegas for the same reason why Las Vegans go down to Southern California to see their teams, because they can do so much on top of going to see their teams play.
Imagine the demand for tickets if the Angels are in town and you got Shohei and Trout. They'll need a second stadium to fit the people that can't get into the first stadium. My tune has been the same on this, and I'll pat myself on the back. I was right all along about this being a major league sports town, not just Major League Baseball. I thought we waited too long. Thank goodness Bill Foley came along and said, I think we're going to do well here with a sport that's not popular in Las Vegas, and turn it into a huge success. Now, granted, the team being good has had something to do with that, but this isn't Phoenix, okay? There are some towns that are not great sports towns, like Miami. It's just not a very good sports town. And no offense to people in Miami, but it's not a good sports town. Las Vegas is. It always has been. There's a huge sports following in this town because there's so many fans from other places who have moved out here, and they still love their teams, but they'll fall in love with Las Vegas teams, and they've shown that with the Golden Knights. It'll be just fantastic in baseball. And how big of a stadium? I don't know, 35, 40,000? That sounds perfect to me. Retractable roof. It's going to cost plenty of money, but it'll get funded. Now, I don't think the city should kick in everything. By no means. But I think the private funding will certainly be there for this because it's a moneymaker. You can't miss.
Do you guys believe in the validity of the Jackie Robinson project on the Wet and Wild site? And if you do, why are they building an arena there and not a baseball stadium?
For basketball, maybe? Is that where the NBA is going to go?
I mean, everyone says
they're coming too. The NBA is coming too.
I think everyone says that the NBA, the MGM, basically cut a deal a while ago, and that it's headed to T-Mobile. And part of that is, hey, you know what? We took a WNBA team, probably at a loss. Yeah. We'll do you a favor, and we'll put a team here. So now you give us the NBA down the road. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe Jackie Robinson said the other day on Channel 8, he's like, if we don't have the anchor tenant with basketball, we're fine. But I don't understand why the plan isn't changed and why he isn't in the mix to.
Oh, I agree.
About baseball.
I agree.
That's a great thing.
I think that'd be a fabulous location. I'm with you on that. I mean, I personally, I don't care where it is. It's not going to be my stadium. I'm not going to get anything out of it. So if they can build it next door or they can build it 50 miles away, I don't care as long as it's somewhere here. So if they put it in Summerlin, I don't have a problem with that. But in terms of where I think it probably fits best, I think the Wet and Wild site actually is the best. I like that idea.
Brady's saying he heard from a big money guy that the NBA toured T-Mobile and they wanted their own location. All right, maybe.
Well, they could.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe they don't want. Maybe they want to be the exclusive tenants someplace. I can see that. I do hope, however, and as much as I'm a fan of Las Vegas as I am, I really hope Seattle gets the next franchise. They got screwed. Okay, it wasn't an Oakland situation. Seattle needs to have a pro basketball team back, and that's a good sports town.
It doesn't shock me though that I don't think there's anything wrong with T-Mobile Arena. That you remember when the Thomas and Mack hosted the NBA All-Star game, and it was they talked about how it just could never happen and the amenities, and so when they built T-Mobile, there was a lot of things that they wanted to make sure it could host. But when you see everything that's going on in sports and why teams are getting upset with their cities and they want their own facility, right, it's no surprise that, hey, if we're going to come to this booming pro sports town that is already, what it is in terms of Las Vegas, fuck it. We want our own. Instead of approaching that problem down the road, we want our own facility, and it makes sense.
If I were the owner, and obviously I'm not going to be the owner of the NBA franchise, I think that's safe to say. But if I were the owner of the NBA franchise that eventually comes here, I would want my own location so I can dictate my own scheduling, because you're not going to be able to do that at T-Mobile.
No.
Okay, you're going to be sharing. You're going to be sharing it with the Golden Knights and other things as well. And I think if you're going to spend the money to buy an NBA franchise, which is kind of expensive, you want your own domain, basically. So I just my opinion, and it's not worth anything, but I think the NBA when it comes here will be in an arena that's all its own and not at T-Mobile. And again, I have no information on that. That's just the way I'm looking at it.
I will tell you this: that group that came up 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, whenever it was, the group that included Marcus Banks. You remember when that story came out, Steve, and they talked about how there was a group and it included Marcus Banks. I do know for a fact that group was in talks. Now, it doesn't mean that anything was concrete or anything, but if there was a franchise that was leaving, and for the longest time, Jamison Welsh, local radio guy, but on a national level with the NBA, he was one of the first ones, I would say about 5 years ago, that came to me at the NBA Summer League and said that the team that wanted to come here, that was ready to go, was the New Orleans Pelicans, because when Benson died, the kids didn't care about the NBA team. All they cared about was the Saints. But that group with Banks, the team, if there was going to be a relocated team from the NBA, that it was going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. I know that for a fact that was a team that they were talking or that was in talks of leaving and wanted to come here. But I will tell you this, I would much rather see when it comes to the NBA, and I agree with Dave, I think Seattle deserves it first, but then I think it should be organic. It would be nice if they could expand and they could start their own team rather than a relocated NBA team, because I think that growing your own organic fan base is going to be better in that sport.
I absolutely agree with that. I think if the Golden Knights had been another franchise that decided to move, I'm not sure they would have been received in quite the same way. This way, it was the Vegas Golden Knights from day one. They weren't somebody else's team. They weren't an orphan that needed a place to land. So I agree with you on that, Willie. I think it. I hope it is an expansion franchise.
Pretty cool. Busy Friday night.
It is.
So we'll wrap on that. Dave, good luck with the cat. Glad you're happy. Glad you got the cat you wanted.
Let me see if he's
BC.
Yeah, there he is.
Sacked out on your luxury pillows.
Yep.
Roughing it.
They're great pillows.
Outdoor cat quickly becomes an indoor cat with good pillows.
And lots of good food.
And lots of good food. All right. What do you guys got going on this weekend, Dave? You got anything tomorrow in baseball?
I haven't done it yet. I'll get to it shortly. I broke dead even tonight on 4 games. I won the Mets, all first fives. I won the Mets. I won the Pirates. I should have played the Pirates bigger. It was just an incredible flat spot for the Giants. And the Pirates got him. I lost the Cardinals first 5, and I lost the Tigers first 5. The Willie Peralta.
Tried Peralta.
Yeah, the money train.
I saw your frustration.
Well, I knew it was going to happen at some point because it's Willie Peralta.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it happened tonight. But 2-2, and I broke dead even because the Pirates were plus 160, so that ate up the losses on the bigger plays. I'm just a little irritated. I didn't have the balls to make the Pirates a bigger play. I should have. This was just a great fade spot. And by the way, one of the weirdest stats you'll find in baseball, you know what team has the visiting team has the best winning percentage at this ballpark since it opened? It's the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're like 20-8. They're like 20-8 at San Francisco. Go figure that.
What about you, Willie? What do you got going on in general? You covering something, or are you just taking it easy?
I'm going to keep an eye on the NHL draft a little bit. Handicap some baseball, write up a few analysis. I had the Red Sox tonight. I actually like Garrett. I liked the Boston in the game, but I liked Cole over 7.5 strikeouts. He ended up with 8, so I lucked out there. Rangers Astros went over. I thought that was a good play. Nothing major. Just like I said, keep an eye on the draft. I'm sort of enjoying. It turned into a busier week than expected because I ended up with I tell you real quick if we have time. I mean, I know we're going to cut it off here, but I ended up with a really cool story this past week. It just kind of fell in my lap. Marcus Allen's brother, Damon Allen, received the Bill Walsh Fellowship, Diversity Fellowship, he's this year's choice, where a minority coach gets to coach during the 3 weeks of training camp. And so he was picked, and he's going to be on the Raiders coaching staff for the 3 weeks during training camp. So a PR agent sent it to Barry Wilner, the national writer for the NFL for AP, who forwarded it to me and Josh Dubow and said, hey, do you guys want this for training camp? Josh is in Tokyo for the Olympics. So I talked to Josh personally. I was like, hey, if we can get this week, meaning this past week, and not wait till training camp, I'd like to knock it out. So I reached out to the PR agent in Canada, and she was like, yeah, let me get you on the phone. Let me get you on. And we did a Zoom, and Damon Allen said, hey, I talked to my brother. He'll be home in an hour. He said he would do a Zoom with you. So here I end up with a Zoom session with one of the greatest running backs of all time when I'm growing up and his brother. And man, I'll tell you the coolest part about this was I asked Marcus a question, and Marcus answered it and then turned around and asked Dave, and they ended up in a conversation. And sometimes you get some of your best sound bites by when the conversation switches and you just sit back and observe. And what a fantastic interview. And it was really cool. It was really, I mean, you know, for half a second there, I took the reporter cap off. It was like sort of geeked out a little bit as a fan because you're interviewing fucking Marcus Allen. And I mean, great guy. His brother is as big a Hall of Fame legend in the CFL as Marcus Allen is in the NFL. At one point, the guy was the all-time pro football passing leader until Breeze passed him, Anthony Calvillo, and Tom Brady. Of all passers in all pro football, Damon Allen ranks fourth all time. So anyway, that was kind of cool. And then Mountain West Media Days. So I was, you know, so now I'm kind of gearing up for the Raiders training camp and just kind of taking it easy, hanging out with the puppy and taking it easy. But anyway, yeah, that was a cool story. Anybody wants to check it out, it's down. You know what? I'll retweet the tweet that I put out a couple of days ago. It's not a long read. It's a quick read, but I'll put it at the top of my timeline on Twitter about the Allen brothers. So anyway, I'm gearing up for Raiders training camp.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll see you. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Willie. See you, viewers, listeners,